Indie games are truly what makes this industry special, unique, and creative. Without indie games, every game would be bland and a clone of everything else, and in control of companies like EA and Activision. We'd be so fucked. We owe everything we have to the indie games, to the small guys with high hopes and dreams. And this video is going to be unique to match the subject. This week, I'm bringing along 3 special guests to help me describe 10 indie games. So let's get started. Number 10. Gone Home. Gone Home is a first-person interactive story adventure game by Fulbright Company. The game's plot focuses on the exploration of its setting, which is set in the June of 1995 at a house in the Pacific Northwest, in the point of view with a young woman who returns home after traveling. Upon her return, she finds her entire family has disappeared from their home. This game brings an element of a puzzling plot, as well as a certain mystique to the table, and it really makes the game shine and stand out from all the rest of the releases in 2013. This game makes usually mundane and boring exploration into a thrilling and suspenseful experience that leaves you hungry for more, and the Fulbright Company should be applauded for that. As well, for the Unity engine, the game's graphics are impressive, and the sound system is good as well. This game is truly one of a kind and is definitely a game that is in a league of its own in respect to its immersiveness and genuine storytelling, as opposed to the mindless violence and killing that we're used to seeing in video games today. This game is truly an adventure exploration experience that can immerse the player like really no other game can at this point in time. If you haven't already, I'd highly recommend picking this game up. It won't drag on like other exploration games. It's very fun, very thrilling, very suspenseful, and just an all-around good time. Number 9. Spelunky. Spelunky is an action-adventure game created by Derek Yu and released as freeware from Microsoft Windows in the September of 2009, but was then remade and released on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 in the August of 2013. In this game, players control an unnamed adventurer known as the Spelunker. The point of this game is to explore underground tunnels, gathering as much treasure as possible while avoiding traps and enemies. Essentially a dungeon crawl, it also adds elements from the roguelike genre, including randomly generated levels, a lack of save points, frequent and easy death, and discovery mechanics, making this game very similar to the popular indie title Rogue Legacy. This game also draws many things from the 2D platforming genre, such as the platforming, the enemies, and the level designs. Many critics hailed Spelunky for its gameplay and constant sense of discovery, as well as its design. This game is a very fun game, and I would highly recommend this game to anyone looking for a fun single-player game, as well as a time killer. You can get so immersed in this game that you can waste an hour, anywhere up to 10 hours in this game, just to play it for what it is, and it's a great experience. It really is a great game, and a very good indie title. Number 8. FTL Faster Than Light. While I don't know much about FTL, I'm going to hand the mic over to someone who does, Mr. Novawolf4000.
Thanks, Bullet. FTL is a top-down, real-time strategy game created by Subset Games. In the game, the player controls the crew of a single spacecraft holding critical information to be delivered to an allied fleet several sectors away, while being pursued by a large rebel fleet. The player must guide the spacecraft over a number of sectors, each with planetary systems and events generated in a roguelike fashion, while facing against rebel forces, recruiting new crew members, and outfitting and upgrading their ship. The combat takes place in a plausible real time, and if the ship is destroyed or the crew is lost, the game ends in permadeath, requiring the player to restart. This is a very good mechanic that they implemented, because it causes immersion and actual care for the crew on the ship. This game can get very addicting and very frustrating quickly, but it is also very satisfying when you destroy an enemy ship or win a close battle. The FTL Advanced Edition is in development by Subset Games, and will add several new events, ships, equipment, and many other features to the existing game. The update will be absolutely free, which is music to my ears, and a great fan-based decision on the part of Subset Games. Well done, you marvellous buggers, you. This game is such a captivating nature that anyone who picks it up feels like they're commanding a starship to travel across the cosmos. If you haven't played this title, I would very much highly recommend it to you, because it's absolutely wonderful. I guess I'll give it back to that fat American now so he can run through the rest of his bullshit list. Putting FTL fucking number 8, you piece of shit!
Number 7. Limbo. No, not the Jamaican, Hawaiian game Limbo where people bend over backwards trying to get under a long stick. Limbo is a puzzle platform game made by Danish game developer Playdead. The game is a 2D side-scroller incorporating the physics system of Box 2D to govern environmental physics and the player character. The player guides an unnamed boy through dangerous environments and traps as he searches for his sister. Limbo features a style of play called Trial and Death, where the player must inevitably die to find the correct way to solve a puzzle. The game is presented in black and white tones using lighting, film grain effects, and minimal ambient sounds to create an eerie atmosphere often associated with the horror genre. Due to this, Limbo has often been referred to as a grade A example of video games as an art form. The ending to the game was left open, vague, and unanswered by Playdead in efforts for the player to make a creative assumption and inferences as to what happens after the game's end. This is very rarely used in gaming, but Playdead incorporated it very well into Limbo. This game is a very unique piece of work, and is praised for being so. Limbo is definitely a must-play if you're into the indie gaming scene, but even if you're not, pick this game up. It's a very, very, very good game, and I'd highly recommend it. I've been highly recommending a lot of games on this list. I wonder why. Number 6. Fez. Fez is a hat that people wear on occasion. It's a small red object that looks like a cone with a flat top. Oh, what? Oh, that's not the type of Fez we're talking about. Alright, give me the goddamn script. What's the Fez we're talking about here? Let's see what we're talking about. Fez is a puzzle platform game. Okay, this makes more sense. Fez is a puzzle platform game developed by Polytron Corporation and produced by Polytron and Microsoft Studios. It's a 2D game set in a 3D world, as the two-dimensional player characters receives a Fez that reveals a third dimension and consequently tears the fabric of his universe. Fez's puzzles are built around the core mechanic of rotating between 4 2D views of a 3D space. As 4 sides of a cube, where the environment realigns between views to create a path. This game is a very unique platformer that has done something that very few games have done before it. Fez received various awards such as the 2012 Independent Game Festival's Grand Prize, 2011 Indiecade's Best in Show and Best World Design, and 2008 Independent Game Festival Excellent in Visual Art. It was also Eurogamer's 2012 Game of the Year. However, despite all of this, the game's designer, Phil Fish, anyone want some fish sticks? That was bad. Phil Fish left the industry over one simple criticism, therefore leaving the world barren of a possible sequel to the unique piece of art. Normally, it's the big companies that fuck great games and the people behind it. But this time, it's one asshole who can't take constructive criticism. Thanks a lot, Fishy, for your undying dedication to the video game industry. Everyone fucking loves you. Number 5. Papers, Please. I've been talking a lot as of late, and while I have a lot to say about Papers, Please, I'm gonna hand the mic over to someone else for this one. Ladies and gentlemen, the Logical Nerd. Oh, yes, oh, yes. No one's cheering? Sorry, Andy.
Papers, Please is a game about working our Stochkin checkpoint, filing and categorizing anywhere between 5 and 30 people a day, where any fuck-up can mean the end for you and your family. Then going to sleep and doing it all again the next day. No, wait, come back, it's a good game, I swear. The game begins with a message saying you have won a job, and your family will be transferred to West Gretna as soon as possible. Of course, this doesn't mean they'll pay for your food, heat, rent, or medicine, no insurance in our Stochka. To pay for the essentials to survive in the harsh Russian Ashtoshkin environment, you need to process and stamp the passports of people entering the country with a salary of $5 per person stamped. The game also features a way to interrogate people if you find a discrepancy in their papers, such as it being out of date, or their names not matching, or they didn't wipe their ass this morning at precisely 8 o'clock. This is the only way to deny people, else you will get a warning permit and or a fine. There are many fascinating characters you'll meet along the way, one of my personal favorites being Yori, a batshit insane drug dealer who is the friendliest man you will meet in the entire game, only just above a guard who pays your money for arresting people. I feel like saying too much about the story and characters would spoil the experience for those of you who will play Papers, Please later, so I won't go into too much detail about that. I cannot recommend this game enough, even though it will likely shove you face first into an angry world that doesn't care about your family or shitty artists of a son. Papers, Please may not be aesthetically appealing, but if a game about working in a checkpoint and stamping papers manages to capture my interest for hours on end, then it's obviously doing something right.
Number 4. The Binding of Isaac. The Binding of Isaac is a top-down 2D roguelike game in which the player controls Isaac or one of 6 other unlockable characters as he explores the dungeons located in Isaac's room's basement. The game's mechanics and presentation is quite similar to the dungeons of The Legend of Zelda, while incorporating random, procedurally generated levels. On each floor of the basement dungeon, the player must fight monsters in a room before he can continue on to the next room. Along the way, the player can collect money to buy equipment from shopkeepers, keys to unlock special treasure rooms, and new weapons and power-ups to strengthen their chances against the enemies. Each floor of the dungeon also includes a boss which the player must defeat before continuing to the next level. Once the player beats all 5 bosses, the player wins. This game is highly addicting and very frustrating, but also very nerve-wracking, fun, and an easy pick-up-and-play game. I shouldn't use that term, easy pick-up-and-play. This game is fucking demented. The whole plot resolves around a mother, a hardcore Christian mother, having God speak to her, and basically saying to torture her son, i.e., first taking away all his toys and things that make him feel good, then taking away his clothes, then finally killing him. Isaac sees his mother attempting to kill him, obviously, and goes into his basement where there are all sorts of monstery things. What the hell kind of world does Isaac live in anyway? I have no fucking clue. This is just weird. If you haven't picked up this game, prepare to log over 200 hours into it, and you'll be asking yourself the meaning of life within the first hour. This game, it's great. It really is great. But it's so fucking demented. I don't even. When I would watch others play it, I would think, why are these people playing this game? It's ridiculous. It's so dark and demented and cruel and just ew. And then I found myself playing it for 5 hours straight. And I realized, I'm the monster. Number 3. The Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable was originally a mod for Half-Life 2 that was built on the Source engine, however, was later built into its own game. The game is presented to the player from the first-person perspective. The player can move around and perform interactions with certain elements of the environment, such as pressing buttons or opening doors, but has no other controls. The story is primarily presented to the player via the voiceover of the game's narrator, who explains the majority of the happenings in the game. The story is mainly about branching pathways that the player can take, and the ending is open to interpretation by the player. The game's comedy is unlike anything I've ever seen from an indie game, and is well worth the buy. As an aspiring comedian myself, I was well, how do I put this? I was very intrigued and very, very amused by this game's comedic value. If you're looking for a game that will make you laugh, cry, and mindfuck, then this is most certainly the title for you to pick up. It is a great game. I would highly recommend it. It is one of those games that is borderline video game art form storytelling. So it's like that trifecta of fuckery. I don't even know what to say anymore. Basically, it's an interactive narration, and it does a damn good job of it. So, yeah. Number 2. Super Meat Boy. Travis, what the fuck are you doing here?
I'm here to steal your fucking thunder, Jeremy. Now I'm gonna take this one over, so go ahead and lock yourself in the closet with Bigfoot and, I don't know, make out or something. So about Super Meat Boy. It's a platforming game in which players control a small cube of meat named Meat Boy, who must save his girlfriend, Bandage Girl, from the evil Dr. Fetus. The game is divided into chapters, which altogether contain over 300 levels. Players attempt to reach the end of each level, represented by Bandage Girl, while avoiding crumbling blocks, saw blades, and various other fatal obstacles. The player can jump and run on platforms, and can jump off or slide down walls. The core gameplay requires fine control and split-second timing, and has been compared to traditional platformers like Super Mario Bros. And Ghosts and Goblins, regarding both gameplay and level of difficulty. The game is very difficult and very rage-inducing, but it's a great time killer and very addicting. If you're looking to get a platformer to sustain your needs and piss you the fuck off, pick this game up. Plus, you're handling a wad of red meat, just like Jeremy does on an average Friday night.
Number 1! Minecraft. Minecraft is a sandbox indie game. What the fuck am I even saying? Every person watching this goddamn video knows what Minecraft is and knows why it's so popular. The creativity, the survival, yada 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 yada. You don't even have to sit here and listen to me say things about this game because you've heard them a million freaking times. So what do we do now? I mean, the top 10's over. I mean, you got your number 1, and your number 1 is something you knew was going to be number 1. Don't you hate those top 10s where you can predict the number 1 before you even start watching the video? It's you know, it ruins the suspense. And, yeah, I hate that. I guess I'd better just go start working on my next top 10 now that I have some free time. Yeah, I'd better go do that. Thank you guys again for watching this top 10 video. It really means a lot to me that you guys like this series as much as you do, and you support the series as much as you do. This is really my only big project that's ever got serious feedback and serious things behind it. And it feels really good that I put all this effort into these videos, and I pump them out, and people really like them. It's really good. It's really awesome. So thank you guys so much. If you liked the video, drop a like, maybe even a favorite, if it's worth it. I do not want you to like and favorite if you didn't like the video and you don't want to favorite it. Completely up to you. I'm just throwing that out there to remind you guys, because some of you guys forget. Some of you guys have an attention span of a mouse and the memory of an old man with Alzheimer's. So aka me. Thank you guys for watching. Next week's subject, I have no idea. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Peace out.